Good evening. Good evening. Just trying to check a few things here. Uh, Looks like some connection issues. So bear with me. Okay. All right. I think I got it. All righty. All righty. Okay. All right. All right. I think I'm good. A little bit of a glitch going on here this evening. But anyway, happy Thursday. It's a thankful Thursday. Um, just as always, coming before you to give you some words of encouragement for this Thursday, February 9th, 2023. So just always rejoicing in what God is doing, always thankful for what God is doing, thankful for who God is. And so let's look at that right there, what I just said. You know, we spend a lot of time, excuse me, spend a lot of time thanking God for what he does, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with thanking God for what he does, because, you know, God is amazing, and some of the things that he does for us, you know, we would not be here. Some of us would not be here. You know, some of us would not be in some of the positions that we're in. We wouldn't be able to do some of the things that we do, you know, because of what God has done. You know, most importantly, what he has done by sending his son Jesus to die on the cross for us, right? And so that's the greatest thing that anybody could have done, right? The Bible tells us, what greater love has any man than to lay down his life for his friends. And so we're considered friends of God, right? Those who have accepted him, who have given their lives over to him, and are allowing God to live through them. Amen. Because that's what we're doing. We're allowing God, we're allowing the Spirit of God, we're allowing Christ to live through us. You know, and so we're thankful for what God has done for us. But I don't often hear people thanking God simply for who he is. And so I think today we just want to focus on who God is. Let's be thankful for who he is. And we know that because of who he is, right, it lends to what he does, right? Because of his character, because of who he is, because of the way he is, right? Because of his character and because of his demeanor, because of his mindset, actions come from that. The love that he has for mankind comes from who he is. The Bible says that he is love, right? So if he is love, we know that love is a verb, and so actions come from love. But I think as believers, we need to spend a little more time focusing on who he is. Yes, we know there are things that, because, as I just stated, because of who he is, there are things that he does simply because of his character, simply because of his makeup. He's prone to do things, right? But do we often take the opportunity to say thank you simply for being God, for being who you are? And even though who he is lends to what he does, right? We spend a lot of times focusing on what he has done, right? The things he has given us and blessed us. We think, oh God, thank you for blessing me with this, and thank you for blessing me, thank you for blessing me with a house, with a car, But what about focusing on, thanking God simply for being God, simply for who he is, simply for his character, right? And not so much focusing on what we can get, right? What we receive, but taking a moment, taking time out, right? Pausing, pumping the brakes for just a minute to say, God, I thank you for being who you are. God, I thank you for the very character that you possess. God, I thank you that you are the creator of the universe and everything in it. I thank you that you are all-knowing and all-powerful, that you are omniscient and omnipresent. Can we focus on the character of God just for a moment? We know that God is amazing. We know that he does things for us because he loves us, right? Because it's within his character, it's within his nature to do good things for his children. But I think that sometimes we take him for granted. Just like a child may take a parent for granted who just always goes out and buys things for him or her, right? And then just always expects to get something instead of appreciating the type of parent, the character, right? And I know that this is kind of touchy ground here, right? But we know that there are those parents who try to buy their children's love, try to buy their affection, try to buy, by giving things. And then there are those who just simply want to give. Many of us who grew up without a lot of stuff, we, try to make up for that with our children, and we go and we try to give them everything that we never had. And sometimes that's not good. And so sometimes, we have to focus on the person and not the gift. Focus on the person, the character of the person, and not what that person can do for you, or what that person can get for you, or what that person can provide for you. Sometimes we need to just take a moment out and be thankful for the person. Now, we know that nobody's perfect. We all have our flaws. But even again, from a personal standpoint, there are people in our lives that we can be thankful simply because they're in our lives, simply because we have a relationship with them, right? And so when we think about our relationship with God, we should be thankful that he made the way, that he created an opportunity for us to have a relationship with him. And yes, he is going to give because he is a loving father and he cares for us. And so there are things that just within his nature, he's going to do sometimes without you even having to ask. Though the Bible tells us that there are things we got to ask. We ask God for it, so we have not because we ask not. But then there are those times when you just get simply because he loves you. I'll give you the perfect example. I was hanging out with my grandson the other day, and we were in the kitchen, and he was just hanging with me. and he didn't ask for anything, but I had some had some chocolate covered almonds that I was putting in a little container, right? And so he was just standing there. He didn't ask for anything. You know, he was just hanging out with me. And so just because, right, I gave him some a couple of chocolate covered almonds. And he's like me. He likes anything chocolate, right? But he didn't have to ask me for it, right? He didn't have to beg me for it. It was just one of those moments where he was with me, and just because of the love I have for him, you know, I decided I would just give him some. Then he didn't have to ask. And so God is the same way. There are moments in life where you're just hanging out with God, right? You just relaxing with God, and he'll just bless you with something. Not because you asked, simply because he loves you. And so it is in those times, I believe, we need to take a moment out and really just think about who God is. Not what he can do for you, because that's going to come, but simply focusing on who he is and focusing on the relationship that you have with him and that he has with you. I mean, what more can you ask for? And so this is my encouragement for you today. Let us take a moment out and just think about who God is to you. Think about who God is to me. Not what he can do, but who he is. Sometimes even in our relationships here on this earth with our spouses, with our siblings, with our, with friends, a lot of them, and not all of them, I'm not saying all of them, because the people have some good relationships and good friendships, right? And good marriage relationships. And those, they do exist. But a lot of times people are only in the relationship for what they can get from you, as opposed to being willing to give to you. One of my favorite scriptures, I use it often, when Jesus says, he says that I came to serve, not to be served. And too many times in relationships, people are looking to be served. They're looking for other people to serve them, to give them something, to do what they want them to do, as opposed to being the one who serves. And so if both parties have a serving mindset, then the relationship will be so much better. And so God, because of his character, he's going to serve, right? He's going to love, he's going to give, to the point that he would give his son, and his son would give up his life. That's how much he loves you. And so in those moments when you feel like there's something that you asked God for and you didn't get it, let me give you this last little thing before I close out. We think about Adam and Eve in the garden. The reason that the enemy was able to trick Adam and Eve, the reason he was able to get them to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, was the fact that he convinced them that God was withholding something from them. You got to go back and read it with some spiritual mindset, right? And so they looked at the tree and said, oh yeah, it's good for food, it's good for knowledge and wisdom, And so the enemy, well, did God really say? He said, but see, God knows that if you eat it, you'll be just like, so he convinced them that God was withholding something from them that was good. And so we have to understand that when we are asking God for things, and because there are three answers, well, there's really two, but we say three. There's yes, no, and maybe, or wait. Because sometimes we're not ready for what we're even asking for. So when God says no, or wait, just understand that he has your best interests at heart. He told Adam and Eve, more specifically told Adam. Adam should have told Eve, right? All right, don't eat from this tree. You can eat all these other trees. You got all these other trees you eat from. This one right here, just stay away from that. And so the enemy convinced them that there was something good in that tree and God was withholding it from them. God knows best. And so if he doesn't give you something, he knows that it's not good for you. So again, let us focus on who God is. And I think if we focus on who God is, we understand that he is sovereign, right? That he knows what's best for us, that he has our best interests at heart. If nobody else in this world has our best interests at heart, God has our best interests at heart. And so if we believe that and we understand that, when we get that no, or we get that wait, then we understand that it's for our good. And because of God's character, because he loves us, he's not going to allow anything to hurt us. He's not going to give us anything that's going to hurt us or give us anything that we're not ready to handle. I was talking with a coworker the other day, and I know I said I'm going to be done, but I was talking with a coworker the other day, and we were talking about David. And, many of you know David, he was anointed to be king at a young age, right? And he was going to be king. But was he ready to become king at that moment? Absolutely not. So he had to be prepared. He had to go through preparation. And so many of us are in that preparation stage. And that's where the wait comes in. Was David anointed to be king? Yes, but he had to wait because there were some things that he had to go through, some things that he had to get past in his life before he could be an effective king. And even when he became king, there were still some things that he had to work through. So even when you get to that place where you feel God has you, there may still be some things you have to work through. And so let's worship God. Let's thank him for being who he is, for being a loving, caring, awesome, righteous, miraculous, all-seeing, all-knowing, all-powerful God and creator of the world and the universe and everything in it. And he has your best interests at heart. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday. This is Pastor Wayne signing off. Have a good one. Be blessed.